all cards on the table, I was never the biggest fan of The Matrix. I like it. It's a great film. The sequels suck, but I was never a mega fan like many others. However, the Animatrix has always stood on its own as an intriguing, if not a significantly flawed anthology film, with some fantastic science fiction stories and concepts, as well as striking and diverse animation styles. It's by far the best thing the Wachowskis have their names attached to aside from the original movie. Now, if you saw my top 5 horror films video, you know that my dad did not give a rat's ass about the rating system. He showed my young, impressionable ass some of the most traumatizing films ever. So imagine your 9-year-old me about to watch this cool anime science fiction movie, and one of the first things you see is
Oh my god! Dad, oh my god!
Dad! It fucked me up. It fucked me up. Whether it was the actual horrifying content or just the ominous and foreboding atmosphere, my mind wasn't ready for this magnitude of existentialism, cyber horror, and political drama. Needless to say, my mom was not happy with either of us. But then I watched it again as an adult and I was like, now, with that said, not every story hits it out of the park, and that's to be expected from an anthology, honestly. When you have a collection of animated shorts akin to something like Fantasia, or Fantasia 2000, or Halo Legends, or, Star Wars Visions, there's bound to be ones that are weaker in comparison. But even so, the weaker entries in this film are still bursting with style and imagination. We got a lot of movie to cover, so let's waste no time and jump right in. First one up is Final Flight of the Osiris, directed by the Wachowskis themselves. This is supposed to take place between the second and third movie, and I'm pretty impartial to this one, to be honest. Its acting and fight animation is pretty sluggish, awkward, and, well, it's very PS2. But this is 2003, and 3D fight animation was still very much in its infancy. Oh, and that CG Final Fantasy movie that had nothing to do with Final Fantasy had a similar problem. But animation aside, the writing isn't much better. Or should I say, it's about on par with the Matrix sequels. It's very odd that these two are using the Matrix to flirt fight when there's a literal Zion versus machine revolution going on. Like, I get that these movies are horny as fuck, but this opening, along with the rest of the short, is purely style over substance. But then the actual story kicks in. Oh good, that thing. This particular scouting team on the Osiris vessel gets a signal that they're being pursued by machines. They try to escape them until they discover a high concentration of machines in one area, only to find out that they're preparing a massive drill directly over Zion, which narratively connects to Matrix Revolutions. That amazing piece of cinema. So they end up getting noticed and pursued again by the machines. Again, fantastic writing. The lady character, I can't remember her name, gets plugged into the Matrix to deliver an emergency message alerting Zion of the oncoming attack. But then, oh no, the machines keep fucking up the Osiris until they all eventually die. Ah, damn it, that sucks, man. I wish I cared. Yeah, so, bit of a weak start, eh? What can I say? The Wachowskis aren't visionaries by any means. The first entry is nothing special, to be quite honest. The writing is flat, the characters are cutouts, the CG is at its best when it's a big grayish blur of machines, and, like, it's just not very engaging. Like I said before, it's purely style over substance, and offers the bare minimum when it comes to entertainment. It could have been a rather tragic story if we had reason to care about these two leads, something the other shorts in this film succeed in quite nicely. But alas, what we're left with is a pale imitation of a Mirror's Edge fetch quest. In fact, the Canadian version of this movie puts the Osiris short at the very end, and honestly, I'm pretty grateful for that, cause the next ones on the docket are two of my personal favorites. So yeah, this gets a thumbs down from me, Gene. The Second Renaissance, Parts 1 and 2, directed by Mahiro Maeda, are so fucking awesome, man. I absolutely love the unbridled brutality, grotesqueness, and vulgarity of both the story and animation. It perfectly captures the end of days hysteria and slow demise of a species in such a bleak, grim way. That's not to say it's flawless, oh, not at all. But it's got the same raw, visceral appeal as films like District 9 or 28 Days Later. Is it indulgent? Absolutely. Is it pretentious? Also yes. Is the writing a masterpiece? Ha, no. Is the shock value unnecessarily gratuitous? Big time. And I love it regardless. It details the history of the machines and how they eventually rose up against their human oppressors and soon harvested them into the Matrix. We enter the Zion Archive as this Muse AI called the Instructor begins to tell the story of the Second Renaissance. Mankind made machines as service drones to slave away for them, but soon enough, a servant robot by the name of B166ER, or bigger. You see, that's subtle because overheard its owners planning on scrapping it. So, not wanting to die, it brutally murdered its human owners and their pets. Whoa, okay, too far there. And again, I'd love to show you the gore, but YouTube. Thus, a trial for B166ER's crime begins. The trial sparks a raging debate between the humans who want to eradicate the machines and those who seek to restore their rights. Soon enough, a Bot Lives Matter movement known as the Million Machine March takes place, wherein nothing but brutality, humiliation, and death awaits the robots. After suffering a mass culling and earning nothing but contempt from mankind, they were banished by humanity. The machines then immigrated to a nation of their own making in the Eurasian region, 01, where they continued to progress their technology and economic profits and shares far past the markets and corporations of humankind. This, of course, angers the humans that the machines and their society have prospered beyond theirs. The ambassadors of 01 even extend their hand to unite the races, but this only causes a war between the humans and the machines. Continuing over to Part 2, the humans carpet bomb 01 with nuclear weapons in an attempt to wipe them off the Earth in an event known as the Reign of 1,000 Suns. But that proved to be fruitless as the machines are, well, machines, and you can't kill them with radiation. So they retaliated soon after and promptly owned the humans' asses. The humans respond with their last and most desperate resort to pollute the sky so badly that it blocks the sun, the main power source of the machines. Oh boy. Okay, let me explain why this is the stupidest thing ever. First off, food? We're just gonna sacrifice the planet's entire food supply because we're just that racist towards robots? You're fucking idiots! Secondly, the machines were smart enough to evolve themselves and their technology when they immigrated and established 01. Do you not think they'll just invent a new way to get their power? 'Cause spoilers, that's exactly what fucking happens! Thirdly, this visual always makes me laugh. Like, oh my god, shut up, we get it, movie. They're applauding for the thing that's gonna kill them. Just get your head out of your ass. And fourth of all, I didn't think this through well, but it's very stupid. But after that, we transition to the trenches of the man versus machine war, and we see in full detail the horrors of that war. It's a grisly, unsettling, and haunting sequence. Throat-tearing screams can be heard amidst people begging for their lives, blood splatters across the battlefield like paint, and it's all complemented by the immaculate art direction and cinematography. Soon enough, after the cataclysmic war, the remaining humans were gathered and studied by the machines, and used as guinea pigs and lab rats for their new mechanisms. This part is the worst for me. It's so unnerving seeing these humans' nervous systems be tinkered with like friggin' clock gears. It genuinely makes my skin crawl seeing them laugh and cry on command, seeing their weak, limp bodies pathetically groan in pain as their life is sapped away. It's fucked, man. It's super fucked. I love it. And soon enough, whether voluntarily complying or by force, the machines slowly but surely claim all the humans into the Matrix, forever harvesting power for themselves and creating a new world order where humans serve machines. I really gotta hand it to Maeda and his team of animators. They created an animated socio-political documentary with authentic-looking amateur handheld camera work, along with varying aspect ratios, TV grain filters, and sound quality to sell the realism of the story. It's quite appealing and horrific to watch. And for those wondering, Maeda also worked on Neon Genesis, designing 2 angels, Nausicaa, Castle in the Sky, and did key animation for the anime sequence in Kill Bill Volume 1. As far as directorial credits go, he's done work for Studio Gonzo with Blue Submarine No. 6 and Final Fantasy Unlimited. But if you ask me, despite its glaring flaws, the Second Renaissance Parts 1 and 2 are some of his best work. The overall arc of the machines overcoming the hardship of the humans is as triumphant as it is dismal to witness. And the hysteric, panicked, dreadful, and dystopian outlook and portrayal of humanity is as timely and relevant as it was when it was created. These 2 shorts are 2 of my favorites in this film, but we still got a lot more to cover, and trust me, there are some real bangers from here on out, and this next entry is one of them. This one is actually my second favorite of the bunch. It was directed by the magnificent Shinichiro Watanabe, who also made Cowboy Bebop. No. And holy shit, what a wonderful addition to his already prolific and impressive career. The sketchy animation, minimal dialogue, atmospheric music, warped dreamlike cinematography, and hyper-realistic backgrounds makes for one of the most intriguing and unique viewing experiences I've had with an animated short. It's about a young boy named Michael Popper, a high school student existentially struggling with the validity of his reality. While voicing his frustrations in a digital diary, he's messaged by Neo, saying that what he's experiencing is normal for those in his situation, but in order to be free, he must risk everything. Michael then goes about his daily routine and eventually winds up at school where his cell phone starts ringing, disrupting the class. The teacher is displeased, as despite Michael saying he turned it off, it keeps ringing. The tension keeps ramping up as Michael finally answers the phone to hear Neo's voice. Neo tells him that he's been compromised and that he's being hunted. And what follows is one of the most trippy, wonky, energetic, and stylish chase scenes I've ever seen in animation. It's chaotic, messy, and scribbled, which one would think that would constitute for incomprehensible visuals. And yet, the animation is alive and energized, even in the subtleties. Every pose is clear, and every silhouette is readable. But what's interesting, at least to me, about this animation is that Watanabe wanted to do something completely different and experimental with the gestural life drawing style. He didn't want to do an anime style because he felt it was going to be overdone for the film. The rough key poses of the skateboarding Michael make it easier for the animators to focus on the movement, arcs, and exaggeration, and less on meticulous tie-downs. And like I said, it makes for a fantastic scene. Watanabe really went the extra mile when he seriously didn't have to.
ラフに描いた絵だと線がつながっていないと色が塗れないんですけど、通常は色を塗れるようにそれは別のレイヤーを色だけのレイヤーっていうのを作ってるんですけど、そうすると枚数も2倍になってしまうので面倒なんですけども、今回は時間的にも予算的にも余裕があったのでそれができるんじゃないかということで試してみた。アメリカの学校っていうのがどういうものなのか全く分からなかったので、サンフランシスコのマトリックスの撮影現場の近くにあった学校に取材に行って、そこを参考に書いています。そこがなかなかいい感じだったので、 割とそこの学校に近い感じで描いています。その学校を取材に行った時にクレイトン君本人にも会えたので、その時にビデオなどを撮らせてもらって、それを参考にアニメーターが作画しています。クレイトン君に実際の内容と同じようになるべく演技してもらうようにして、それを元に作画しています。あまりにありふれたものにはしたくないなと思っていたんですよ。でキッズストーリーに関しては作画監督の橋本君っていうのがこういうタッチでやったらどうだろうという提案がありまして、
特別っていう風に見られるとちょっと恥ずかしいですけど、それは、どっちかというと古いやり方のような気がしますけど、昔の日本のアニメーションは結構ああいうラフっぽいやつが多かったので、そういうのが結構好きだったりするから、特に自分的には特別なとは思ってないんですけどね。
元の一番最初の原画が描いた絵っていうのがすごく味がある場合が多いんですよ。あまり綺麗な線で描かれた絵ではないんですけど、逆にそれが非常に手書きの味みたいなものもあって、独特のその人の線の感じみたいなものもあって、それはとてもいいものなんですけど、
Getting back to the conclusion, Michael is cornered on the school rooftop. He's held up at gunpoint as he proclaims that he believes in Neo as he falls to awaken himself from this lifelong dream. Now, I've heard some brainlet takes about this short, Doug Walker, saying that it could be interpreted as promoting cults and killing yourself for a faith or religion or religious figure or whatever. And yeah, I can definitely believe some people would be offended that a kid gets rewarded for committing suicide. It's believable, but, yeah, let me explain why this is a stupid criticism regardless. The kid knew about Neo, about Trinity, and if he knew about them, then he must have known or at least had heavy suspicions about the Matrix. Neo at the end of the first Matrix himself said that people are starting to wake up. The revolution was just beginning, and this clearly takes place in between the first and second movie. Michael's not committing himself to a cult, he's taking a leap of faith to escape a false reality he knows is false. Anyway, I digress. The following day, there's a funeral held for Michael as we transition to Zion, where we see the kid recovering from his time in the Red Pod. Now, you may be wondering how in the hell did Neo and Trinity find Michael when he wasn't red-pilled? How did the machines and agents not fucking fry him like they do with Dan? Yeah, I have no idea, and that's a big fucking plot hole. But I still love this short. It generates a great adrenaline rush with unique and captivating animation, brilliant music, and stellar cinematography, even with its massive gaping hole. It's understandable if that ruins the short for you, and hey, I know this movie doesn't have the best reputation as it is, considering it is heavily flawed and the overall writing for the shorts are very basic and in some cases rather non-existent. But I'll go into more detail on that later. Despite that, I still gain a hearty level of enjoyment from this film, and this short especially. Now, let's move on to one of the more popular and recognizable animations in this film. This one gets rather mixed reviews from the community, which I understand, although, and I may sound like a broken record at this point, I really like this one. It was written and directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, known for the critically acclaimed anime film Ninja Scroll. He also wrote World Record, but that was directed by Takeshi Koike, and their styles are somewhat similar. Both use harsh ink shadows contrasted with vibrant, bold, solid colors. However, Kawajiri's cinematography here is panoramic, grand, and uses a predominant black and red color palette to make the characters and action stand out. His animation is fluid, crisp, and smooth as hell. His use of fabric animation on Sis is also quite audacious and full, treating them like their wings. But it's especially impressive in the sound design department. They used authentic Japanese spears and tridents to recreate the clashing sounds of Sis and Duo's combat, and just the overall sound mixing here is absolutely amazing.
二次元っていうものの力をやっぱり特にそのシミュレーション内での空間っていうのはイメージボード書いてくれと箕輪の方に依頼して書いてもらった中にその最初その美術にやっぱすすきがこうブラックベタであるだからキャラの方にもなるだけブラックを入れ込もうとで美術とキャラクターのマッチングを図ろうやないかとで花札っていうのがありましてこれはまあトランプみたいなもんです日本の古い歴史のある、そういうカードなんだけどでそのデザインというのも非常に日本的で
The story is about a woman named Sis in a training program inside the construct of the Matrix. She and her favorite simulation, who is implied to be a former lover of hers, battle in a forest of her own design. The simulation's name is Duo, played by the golden-voiced samurai Jack himself, Phil Lamar. Fuck yeah, baby! He comments on how her concentration is withering lately, and how it may be because she regrets taking the red pill. The two then share a very interesting conversation about choosing a lie over the truth, very similar to what Cypher believed in the first Matrix. It may be a fake steak, but goddamn, that's a good fake steak. The conversation reaches a turning point when Duo proposes to Sis to go back to the Matrix with him for real. And this strikes up a great conflict between our two leads. Sis firmly stands her ground as not wanting to return because the truth of the world is too bleak and grim to avoid. But Duo asserts that it's because the world is so bleak that he would rather return to the fake world. Now, you may be thinking, hey, wait a minute, isn't Duo a simulation? And doesn't Sis know that he's a simulation? If so, then what's the conflict? Can't you just be like, lol, no, you're not even real, and not be affected by his philosophical jargon? Well, there's a catch. First off, like I said earlier, Duo is a past lover of Sis, making him more of an effective decoy against her in the program. And since they're past lovers, that makes this conflict all the more trying for Sis.
The program really explored a facet of the Matrix, which was that simulations, even if you know that they're simulations, can still be dangerous. Like, you can still be tricked by them, or you can still want to believe in a simulation.
And if that's the case, then this is no doubt part of this specific Zion training program. Having the simulation corner and compromise the subject physically and emotionally to see whether or not they'll buckle under the pressure in a do-or-die situation. But ultimately, she proves victorious. She uses her strength and precision to strike Duo down where he stands. An action she is greatly distraught over. But then it's revealed that she was a victim of mind dance and she wakes up from the program. Her comrades assure her that it was all a part of the training and calm her down from her panic. She then promptly punches the guy in the face for making her kill a past lover of hers in a simulation, which, yeah, I would be pretty pissed about that too. Again, this is just a really solid, well put together short. And unlike the Osiris short, this one makes us care about our two lead characters within the same time frame. The dialogue between the two is mature and sound, even though they heavily disagree with one another. They both have legitimate rationales and motivations for their outlooks on life post-Matrix. And it's really interesting to see these two converse and argue about the ramifications and consequences of such a massive choice. You can tell these two respect each other immensely and want each other to understand what they're saying. It's wonderfully tragic. Also, having Phil Lamar's maple syrupy vocal cords say these lines is just perfection. But I do like the question this short poses. Would you rather live an uncomfortable truth or a reassuring lie? Would you sacrifice what you have to get what you want? It's a subject that's explored for a little in the first Matrix and beaten to death with a baton reloaded, but here it's a healthy balance of philosophy and action, something the sequels have no balance of at all. And, I really wish I had more to say about this short, but I guess I shouldn't overstay my welcome here. And speaking of overstaying your welcome, I'm splitting this into 2 parts. Because I said so. So you can deal with that. Bye.